Hi, I'm Chef Joe Melli, and welcome back to Pasta Amore, Pasta with Love. Today on Pasta Amore, we're going to take our basic pasta doughs and we're going to kick it up another level. We're going to show you how to turn your basic pasta into spinach pasta, tomato pasta, and then we're going to create what I call the Italian flag out of those pastas. So, what do we do first? Alright, well, I've already got our basic pasta dough. You know the drill. Okay, that's our egg pasta resting. I've also went ahead and made a tomato pasta. This is a little orangey in color. It's not quite red. Okay, and then I'm going to show you how to make green pasta, which is made with fresh spinach. Okay, here's lesson number one when you are adding flavoring, coloring, etc. to a pasta dough. Always use natural ingredients. Under no circumstances should you ever add artificial coloring or flavorings to your pasta dough. Everything natural. Right? So, lesson number two. Okay? You never ever, in this case fresh spinach, do you want to add any more moisture to your pasta dough. Alright? The ingredients that you're adding to your pasta dough to change the flavor or the color may contain lots of moisture. In this case, spinach is 90% water. So, what do we have to do here? We have to make some adjustments. Alright, so, in the case of spinach, I have here 4 cups of tightly packed spinach leaves, fresh baby spinach. Alright, now we know that our normal ratio of flour to eggs is 5 eggs and a pound of durum. Fine. That's for egg pasta. We got to change it because we have to take into consideration how moist or how wet this dough is going to be if we added the 5 eggs and only used a pound of flour. So, to our 4 cups of tightly packed spinach leaves, we're going to take a pound and a half of durum flour now. Okay? So, we're kicking up the flour by a half pound, right? We're going to combine our fresh spinach, baby spinach leaves. Now, important to know, alright, when you adding fresh spinach, go to the store and get the triple washed, already washed spinach leaves that you don't have to do anything to. Also, you want to make sure they're baby spinach. Right? If you just get regular spinach with the really large stems, you're going to have to trim those. Alright? But the baby spinach, we can process just this way. Alright, so, in the beginning, we added eggs and flour and everything together. That's fine. Now, what I'm going to do first, I'm going to turn this into a green flour. Right? No eggs yet. Right? So, in our processor, we're going to add, we have our durum, okay? We have our spinach. We're going to let that go. Now what's happening is the spinach is combining with the flour. It's totally going to combine and create this whole new product, basically a green pasta flour. No moisture, no eggs yet at this point. This is an important step in the spinach pasta making. Okay, so let me see if you can see this, we have beautiful bright green spinach pasta flour. Alright, and that's all it is at this point. Okay, now, a couple things about when you cook pasta with colors in it. Okay, many people who make spinach pasta will start out by cooking their spinach first. Right? What that does is a couple things. You are then destroying the nutrients of the spinach, and you're getting rid of a lot of the color, as well as the flavor. Alright, so 3 things are going down the drain when you pre-cook your spinach. So we want all the goodness, all the nutrients, all the flavors still intact. All right? The other thing that happens, if you know anything about cooking green vegetables, when your green vegetables hits rapidly boiling salted water, the color pops. All right, and the same thing is going to happen once our pasta hits the boiling water. Later on, after we make these, I'm going to cook them and I'm going to show you how the color pops right out. All right, so we got our beautiful green flour here. All right, now instead of the 5 eggs, I'm going to cut it down to 3. Okay? Uno, due, e tre. Okay? Also another adjustment you have to make. Okay? Okay, and we let it go again. At this point, this is a touch and go type of recipe. All right? It's not foolproof. It depends on the humidity. Depends on if you actually accurately measured your flour, the size of the eggs. Okay? So, sometimes we'll stop it, we'll check it to see how dry it is or how moist it is. I'd rather add as we go rather than add too much and never be able to take out. All right, so I'm gonna help this along, move it around a little bit. Now, it feels kind of dry to me at first, but if I pick it up and I go like this and it sticks together, I'm gonna let this process just a little bit more. Okay, I'm gonna try to get that to come together as a dough, because I'm afraid if I add another egg, it might be too wet. But we're gonna let this go. We're gonna see exactly, but the color looks beautiful. Okay, I'm gonna go back in. All right, so now look at this. Okay, if I squeeze this together, what I'm doing is working that moisture in the spinach. So that's beautiful right there. Okay, so what I'm going to do at this point, I'm going to turn this out on my board. And get all of my, and then like before, like with the egg dough, we bring it all together. Look at, this is coming together very nicely. What you don't want is it to be really, really soupy. So if I added those 5 eggs and only added a pound of flour, you can imagine how soupy this would be right now. So again, we need, so you have to be careful in whatever colors you're going to add or flavorings. All right, check and see. If I wanted to make mushroom or brown colored pasta dough, I take dried porcini powder, porcini mushroom powder, add it to my dough. That one I can pretty much go back to the 5 eggs because all I'm adding is powder. If I were to say you wanted a red pasta, I would use beets. I would roast the beets, not boil them because I don't want to add any more moisture. Roast the beets, take them when they're fully cooked, put them in the processor with the flour, create a red flour. Then I would probably add the 3 eggs. Okay? You have to play with it. Depending on if you wanted to do let's say you were doing a seafood pasta and you wanted a lemon black pepper. So I would take some fresh lemon juice, squeeze it in, and I would first of all grate the outside, the zest of the lemon, put it in the dough, and some cracked black pepper, and makes a beautiful seafood pasta dish. Okay? All right, so nice. This came together exactly as I had envisioned. Now we got to wrap and rest. All right, so 1, 2, 3, right? We got our white. Now, look at the difference in the yield. 5 eggs in a pound and a half of flour, 3 eggs, 6 ounces, a 6-ounce can of tomato paste, okay? 5 to 6 ounces of fresh spinach, pound and a half of flour, 3 eggs. So our yield, you're going to yield more out of your flavored doughs because you have to increase the flour. All right, so these are resting, okay? Now, I'm going to start out, because my goal now is to make, like I said, the Italian flag. Now, that's what we're doing today. However, depending on the holiday or the time of year, if it was Halloween time, we could get some beautiful squid ink, black squid ink, put it in our pasta dough. We could take either the tomato pasta or carrot pasta or pumpkin pasta and do a black and orange. How about a Halloween pasta? Okay? Christmas time, we get the red, the beet, red and green. Okay? Valentine's Day, red and white. The only thing you really can't come up with is blue. There's no such thing as blue food. Blue does not happen naturally in the food world. All right, you say blueberries, well, they're purple. Okay, so how do we proceed then? How do you think this would come together? I want to end up with a sheet or a sfolia of red, white, green stripes. I'm going to show you. Okay, we start out, we're using our egg pasta as a base. Okay, and I'll show you why. All right, we're going to go back to getting a small portion again. Okay. All right. I'm going to again take a little dusting. Because this is going to serve as the base that we're going to lay our stripes on. Okay, so going back to the machine. Because we don't need a very thin sheet in the beginning for a base. We're going to need, probably going to go down to about number 2, or only up to number 2 on the machine. We want a thick base to begin with. Okay? And that's going to be one more turn here. That's it. Okay. Now, this is going to be, I'm going to cut this in half, right? Because I'm going to lay my stripes on here, okay? Now, what I'm going to do is I need to get white stripes. So while I have my sheet rolled out, okay, I'm going to just take this and we're going to cut it into tagliatelle, but thick tagliatelle, okay? Because we're gonna need these noodles afterwards to create our stripes. This is our base, all right? We're gonna put that aside for the moment. Now we're gonna take some of our rested tomato dough. Oh, it smells just like fresh tomatoes. Okay? All right. So we don't need a big piece of this. We'll cut off a corner edge. Okay? Now this one, I'm feeling that it's rested now. I got a little moisture in here, but it's not bad. Okay, so we will take this out, go back to our roller. So yes, it is a long process. This isn't something that you're going to crank out a lot of volume on. Okay, this is a specialty pasta. All right, and that's what today's all about, specialty pastas. All right. So what I'm doing here, I don't need a base sheet of the tomato. I'm just going to need some tagliatelle to help us make our stripes. And also know that when you work a color or a flavoring in, the more you work it, the more it's going to develop that color and make it a beautiful, solid color throughout the dough. Okay? Sometimes you'll see streaks of color, and that's because the color hasn't worked its way all the way through the dough yet. So by doing this process, it's starting to become all one nice orangey color. Okay? So, I'm going to go down. Probably one more after this. Alright, so I only need the length of noodles that's going to fit on the base. And you'll see what kind of sheet we end up making out of that. Alright, so now I'm going to cut some tagliatelle. Okay. Alright, take this out, go back to the roller because we got one more to do, and that's our spinach. So, however many colors you wanted, you could have multiple colors. You could have brown, black, yellow. If you wanted a really bright yellow, take some saffron threads and steep them in a little bit, tiny bit of water, warm water, and let that color bleed out. And then combine it into your dough. And then of course you probably have to cut back on an egg though. Alright, so our spinach has rested. And we're going to cut off a small end of our spinach dough. Same thing. This is really, I can't believe, I mean, the consistency of these doughs are just perfect. Sometimes, you know, you don't get so lucky when you're playing with colors and flavors. All right. This is a good example. You see how speckled that spinach dough is? The more, if we were to roll this all day long, it would be one solid mass of green. The more we put it through, because what we're doing, this process is called laminating, right? We're laminating these pasta sheets. Okay, we're pressing them through rollers. This is a beautiful, fresh, look how bright that green is. You wouldn't get that bright if you cooked your spinach first. I'm just doing this now to develop a deeper green. The fun part about this, after it's done, not only the sheet looks great, but what you can do with it, and then how many different specialty cuts of pasta. It's not only a specialty cut or shape, it's going to be tricolor. Alright, so you see as it gets through the rollers more and more, we're getting a solid, the green, the specks are going away, the green is becoming one nice, beautiful color. Okay. think I'm going to go one notch more, and then we're going to cut our spinach noodles. I want to get it about, again, the same length as my go back now to the cutter one last time. We are creating some very thick. You notice I didn't go all the way down because I don't want, at this point, thin sheets yet. Alright, so here's our components. Really simple. Green, orange, or red, and a white. And our base pasta. Alright, so now we're going to play a little bit with our stripes. This takes a little bit of patience now. Okay, it's a painstaking process. Okay? Alright, so now I have my base sheet. Gabish, gabish. What I do is, just so, I'm going to take the water and a brush, okay, and we're going to wet our dough. Right now I need to get my glasses on because we need to start putting these in place. Right at the very edge, I lay down my, I know what you're saying, I know. Oh, you're going to do that all day long? You know what? It's fun. And the final outcome is, I think you're gonna love it. All right, so you want to line them up, one right next to the other, nice and tight, okay? And make sure you get your rotation right. Don't miss a color, don't skip a color. Well, you could, but it just wouldn't be perfect. Okay, so these are sticking, all right, very nicely. Now, if I was feeding 300 people with ravioli made with striped pasta, I'd probably be pazzo, a little crazy. But, you know, for you at home, and you got a special event coming up, and you want to do a nice presentation for somebody, okay, and you want to wow them a little bit, okay, here's what you do. Alright, so little by little, piano piano, we say, slowly slowly, it comes together. Already you can see it taking shape, right? But this is all, there's no machine to do this. We have to do this by hand. And that's okay. See, I forgot. You got to keep an eye on your colors. It's easy to get distracted. Now, you can be very creative. If you wanted to cut these into letters and spell somebody's name and put it in here, you could do that. Okay. Now, what I have here is a very thick piece of dough. Obviously, I would never, but I'll show you what we're going to do with that in just about 1 minute. Okay. Now you say, well, you've already got white down there, why do you need to put the white? I said, because it's a spacing thing. If I didn't, these would spread and it wouldn't look nice straight lines. Okay. Green, yellow, go back to, I lost my mind for a moment. Okay, we're almost to the end, almost to the edge, and then I'll show you what the next step is. Okay. Now you're probably thinking, well, that doesn't really make so much. That's one sheet, okay? All right, so now what are we gonna do with this? Now we're gonna trim. See all these things hanging off the ends? All right, so I'm gonna look at my base is right about here, and I'm gonna come square, okay? And these are maltagliati, okay? And now we're gonna get this right about here. Okay, maltagliati as well. Okay, so now let me trim my ends too. Okay, so I want to get this nice and close over here. All right, let's a little dusting. Okay, top and bottom. Now we take our rolling pin. Okay, this is going to press those right into the dough. Okay, now it's kind of one solid mass, okay? Magic happens when it goes back through the machine. I knew you were gonna get this. I knew you were on top of that. All right, open up. Again, widest setting possible on the machine. Okay, another press. Slowly, slowly, turn on your machine, and you're gonna feed this back in. Now look, already it's taken shape, but it is nearly not done. Okay? Now we're going to go down piece by piece, slowly, until this becomes one fused sheet of pasta. Okay, make sure you put a little tension on the back side of it as you're feeding. Okay? Again, tension back here. Nice. So, later on in the program, not today, but down the road, we're going to do dessert pasta. And I'm going to show you how to make chocolate pasta and a sweet white dough, and we're going to do stripes. So we're going to do striped chocolate and white pasta, and then we're going to turn that into a tiramisu ravioli using the chocolate and white stripe. So it's a little bit of spin on your normal everyday tiramisu combined with old world ravioli. All right. So that one little square produced this beautiful sfoglia. Okay, so now this is one sheet now. It's no longer several pieces of dough. It's all laminated together. All right, I'm going to set this down here for the moment, okay, because I'm going to show you what we're going to do with that sheet. Okay, you need a nice clear board. Okay. Now, what are some of the things we can do with this? Again, the possibilities are endless. Okay. What's the first thing? Okay. One of the easiest things is to take your little round cutter, okay? Take your stripes, go ahead and make a round circle, okay? We're not filling this, it's not a filled. We're gonna take and we're just gonna bunch it up together, pinch it, and we're gonna create tricolored farfalle, okay? So, I'm going to put that over here. I'm going to do it again. Now, when you do these shapes, they do need to dry. They need to sit out in the air and just air dry. Again, round, knit it together in the middle, a little pinch. Okay, if you want to flare it out a little bit at the end. Okay. Now, another version of that, okay, we save our Maltagliati's is we're going to cut this into a square. Okay? I'm going to use my ridge cutter here. We're going to do roughly about a 3-inch square, I guess. Okay, so you can even go with those. We could probably, let's go a little bit smaller. Okay, so now what we're going to do, we're going to take and we're going to pinch these together. Okay, and you have another farfalle. Okay, it's just a different shape of the farfalle. Okay, using a square piece instead of the round, you get a different effect. Okay, we pinch it together. We still get a così. Okay, so two really quick little things you can do with those. All right. Now I need to show you how to do one of my favorite cuts, and that maybe a lot of people aren't familiar with. It's called Garganelli. Okay? Underneath this. Alright, so what we need to do, we need to create pasta diamonds. So I'm going to cut a piece of my sheet here, lay that over. Okay, so I'm going to visualize about thirds. Okay, and I'm going to cut this pasta sfoglia into thirds. And now on an angle, I'm going to cut diamonds. I'm going to go corner to corner over here. Okay, now, this is one, this is one. I'm going to take all of the beautiful diamonds that I have here. And then this I'm going to take, I can re-roll all this, don't forget. We can make like a tie-dye pasta. That would be cool, huh? Alright, so if you haven't seen one of these before, it's called the Gnocchi Board. Alright, people, instead of taking your fork and then you roll your gnocchi on the end of it, you take your gnocchi and you roll it down the board and you get the little grooves. Alright, but what else we can do with this, I'm going to show you. Okay, so we have our, if you'll see, we have, they're kind of diamond shaped. Okay, so we're going to use our board to create Garganelli. It's kind of like a fancy penny. Alright, so we're going to place it on the board like that. Alright, I'm going to take a touch of water in my brush. I'm going to brush just the end. I'm going to take my little rolling pin here, my little wooden dowel. I'm going to put a little flour so that it will slide right off for me. And I'm going to take, and then I'm just going to roll right over, slide right off, and then we have Garganelli tricolor. Okay? Now, I just realized what you want to do, you have a bright side and a dull side. Let's this time make sure the bright side gets on the outside of the Garganelli. Okay? So, I'm going to put that back on there. I'm going to touch the end with just a little bit of water. Make sure my stick is a little floured here. I'm going to wrap it around, roll it right down, slide it off. Now my colors are a little bit more vibrant. Okay? Very important again, all these have to dry before we can cook them. Alright, if you want to see it again, upside down on the dull side, tiny bit of water on there so it sticks. Dry out my stick, roll it right over, slide it right off. Okay, so we have the Garganellis. Alright, one of my favorite little pastas. And it goes great with a hearty ragu, meat sauce. A little duck ragu would be gorgeous with this. Okay. Alright. So, that's Garganelli. Alright, another specialty shape. Now I'm going to show you, for you that are a little bit older maybe, and you might be familiar with this little specialty pasta. but you didn't know it as pasta. Back when we were kids, we used to go to the penny candy store and we get bonbons. Little caramels wrapped up in a little paper. So, what am I going to do here? I'm going to cut my, again, about a 3-inch square. That's good. And then, with my brush, I'm going to wet my one end all the way across, okay? And I'm going to take my filling, my old cheese and spinach filling. I'm going to put some right in the center here, okay? So we are going to recreate the bonbon, okay? So we're just going to fold it over, okay? Press down here, and now we're going to twist these ends. I think they also call them caramello. Okay, you can twist up your ends and make a nice little pasta candy, quote unquote. You can take a fork at the end, okay, make a little indentation, okay, and those actually are little pasta bonbons. So your filling could be, like I said, if you want to do a little appetizer on Valentine's Day, and you wanted to do a little specialty, you could do a red and white striped with your favorite filling on the inside. And also we could do a dessert pasta with that. We could have a nice sweet filling and do a chocolate and white pasta again. So that's our bonbon. Let's go back to our board for a second. Okay, now this is not only good for gnocchi. Okay, I'm going to make three different. I'm going to take some of my dough here, okay? And now I'm going to roll it out like I was going to roll out gnocchi. I'm going to make a rope, okay? So we want to get a nice, even, probably about maybe quarter to a half-inch in diameter. Okay, nice rope, nice evenly cut. All right, and then I'm going to take little flour here, and I'm going to cut little pieces here. Okay, so I'm going to take my board again. Okay. And I'm going to take and I'm going to push down that little, I'm going to push down right into the grooves. I'm going to get it up a little bit and I'm going to roll it right off of the board. Okay? So we push down, right off, Cavatelli. Okay? Now, what we can do with this, let's go ahead and roll out a little bit of our other dough so we can have tricolor Cavatelli. All right, I'm going to take a little piece of the tomato. And same thing, I'm going to roll it into a rope. Okay, you don't want to do is you don't want to add any extra flour to this. Okay? I'm going to knead that together a little bit more. Develop that. Just so I get a nice solid rope. That's the whole idea. Okay, you want a nice solid piece of dough. Okay, we're going to cut again, press down, okay, press down, roll off. Same thing with the spinach. We're going to grab some of our spinach dough, just a little off the end, Okay. On our board. Okay. So this again is a little bit of a time-consuming thing. Once you get the doughs made, the rest goes quickly. Okay. So we got tricolored Cavatelli. Okay. And what else do we have? Garganelli, farfalle, bow tie. Ah, I know one more we don't have. Two more. Two more. We're going to go back to our rope over here, and I'm going to, we're going to make some fresh fusilli. Okay? Again, get rid of any excess flour. Sometimes if you have too much flour on the board, your dough will just slide, it will not roll. Okay? All right. What we want to do is get this into like really thin ropes. And then we're going to twist it and we could do this again in tricolor. Okay? And the trick is here to getting these to dry. Okay, you always want to let them dry. Alright, so now I'm going to take a wooden skewer. Okay? Or you could take a knitting needle, I guess. And at the end, I'm going to pinch this on the end and I'm just going to twist around. Okay, we twist all the way around till we use it up, creating that spiral effect. And then we're going to slide it off. Okay, so now we have fusilli. Okay, that's going to go on our dish with the rest of our specialty pastas. Okay, again, I'm going to make a nice thin rope. Again, I'm going to go from the top, around and around and around. Okay, we want to get that to where it's got a nice spiral on it. We slide it off. Okay, this has got to dry now. And we can do the same. Let's do the same thing with our other colors. So you got, again, spinach, tomato, egg pasta, and you can do them into your fusilli. Okay, this one I'm going to cut down a little bit. Try to keep them all about the same length. Okay. Now, we could hold it here on the stick if you wanted to take these and just rest these on the plate until they dry totally, and then you slide them off. Or you can, but that's going to be a longer process. Okay? So, again, we'll do the one last one with the spinach. Okay. This one works well if you have, like a lot of people that have nothing better to do. They could help you with these. Okay? I'm going to do one more here. I'm going to turn up my water because I want to cook these. Today we're not doing a sauce. Today was all about these specialty pastas and the striped pasta. And then I just want to cook them to show you how they pop. Okay, so we got spinach. Okay, so all together. Now I'm just going to cook these as is to show you also. Fusilli. Oh, all right. Let's one more that I'm pretty sure you don't have at home. Okay. I need a little bit of room. Now, what else could we do with this sheet? Do you remember those cannellonis, right? You wanted to make a nice tricolor cannelloni. Okay, do the same thing. Fill your pasta. You can do raviolis in here. All right, the same way we did raviolis, right? This is going to be down first because this is going to be your bottom sheet, or your bottom sheet will then become your top when you flip it over. So these could also make a really nice ravioli, right? Okay. But now I'm going to take, I think I have, I do. I have a little piece of, and I need one more piece of egg pasta dough. And I'm going to run this through. So we're going to do what's called pasta alla chitarra. Okay? If you know what the word chitarra in Italian, it means guitar. Okay? So I'm going to show you why in a second, why it's called chitarra. Now, chitarra is a very, very rustic, old world pasta. Okay. Before there was any kind of machines whatsoever, the Italians came up with an inventive way to cut pasta. Leave it to the Italians. All right, so that's good. I'm done. I'm not rolling this down to the end either. Okay, I'm going to run these guys through one more time here. Okay. Alright, okay, so I'm going to grab my chitarra. This baby here, a little out of tune? Yeah, I think so. However, we're making pasta here, we're not making music. So, this is one of the ancient forms of pasta making, or turning pasta into noodles. How clever of the Italians, right? Some metal strings stretched between two boards. As you can see, these are finely spaced apart. If you turn this over on this side, there's another set of strings, very similar but a little bit wider. So you can have a little wider noodle and you can have a little thinner noodle. Okay? So, what do we do with this? We have our sheets here, like I said, our tomato, our spinach, our egg. Now, ingenious, the Italians. Alright, so we're going to take our pasta. I'm going to sprinkle a little more dusting on here, of course, as always. Put it on here, and with a little bit of pressure, I'm just going to, with my rolling pin, force it through the strings. It has wood on both sides, so you can push down without hurting the strings. Okay? And then look, when you're all done, shake it out. and you have some very nice, very rustic pasta noodles, okay? So, those we're going to put on this plate. So, I'm going to take another one, my spinach. I'm going to do the same thing again. Now these are, as you can see, these are a little bit thicker. So these have a little bit of chew to it when it's done. Okay? Again, rolling pin. Now, where do we get this? See, I don't have one of those. Sur la table, about 19 bucks. You can have a Chitarra. Okay? Okay, same thing. All right, and we're gonna do one more. Okay, let's just change it around this time. Down, I think that was a high G. What do I know? All right, so now we got beautiful pasta alla Chitarra, usually served with a very, very hearty sauce, a meat sauce, a ground lamb sauce, again, sugo, duck sauce, because it will stand up to the heavy sauce. All right, so I have my water on. Now, like I said, we're not cooking a sauce today. I'm really only cooking these to show you how the color is going to pop and how they're going to come alive. Okay, what you're going to see here is very, very vibrant colors, and it would make a great dish for the summer. If you wanted to turn any of these into like a pasta salad for the summertime, I think with your bright, vibrant colors, it would really, really impress your guests. So we're going to do one of these. I'm going to do them separate. Okay, these are all the same consistency, shapes. We're going to pop these in. And now a lot of those have dried, so they're holding their shape. Okay, so I'm going to just cook those for about 2 minutes, not even 2 minutes. All right, I'm going to plate it, and you're going to white background. You're going to see how those really come alive on here. Okay. Okay. All right, so I'm ready to get my colors out of the water. I can see already that they really, really brightened up big time. All right, that's about it. So, what do we have here? Okay, we have our Garganellis, we have our bonbon, okay, we have our fusillis, okay, we have our Cavatelli, we have our farfalle, our bow ties, and look at those colors. Look how vibrant, okay? This is not about presentation today. This is just about showing you what happens when you throw that colored pasta into boiling salted water, okay? This one here we're going to pop in. And you're going to see those colors come alive as well. Now, who's to say that some of this just with a little bit of butter and Parmesan cheese wouldn't be just perfect as well? One thing you don't want to do when you are think about your presentations though. If we were to serve this, we would never cover this with a tomato sauce. Why? Because you're going to lose all your colors, okay? So something light, either a broth, serve it in a soup, or a light cream sauce, or a butter sauce, so that your colors still remain intact, okay? Now the thing about Chitarra, those noodles swell in the water, so they're going to become a really hearty, chewy pasta. Okay, so again, look at how those colors come alive, okay? Gorgeous, okay? And like I said, they would stand up to any hearty meat sauce, all right? So, today was all about colors, flavors, shapes, specialty. Next time on Pasta Amore, we're gonna do Specialty Pastas Part 2. Specialty filled pastas. Until then, ciao ciao ciao, buon appetit.